Okay, I'm going to give you a few more tips, real important tips to help you not get ripped off when it comes time to selling your house. And it doesn't matter if it's cash offer or doing it retail with a real estate agent. If you are aware of these things and you make sure that you control these things, you're in control. Don't let the other parties be in control. You're in control. You're the boss. Okay, so first one is a thing called anchor pricing. This is something that gets a lot of home sellers in trouble. On both sides, cash and retail side, is anchor pricing. And I'm going to give you two scenarios in the cash side and one on the retail side. So the first one is a lot of wholesalers and cash buyers, they'll use what they call anchor pricing. They'll come in, and remember we talked about the 70% ARV, or sometimes it's 60 or 50 or whatever, right? They're gonna come in and they're gonna give you their anchor price. This is their minimum starting price. So they're going to come in and they're going to say, for example, we can give you $700,000 for it. And a mistake that a lot of sellers make is they just accept that number outright. And they go, oh, okay, I was hoping for more, but gosh, if that's all you're offering, okay. Here's where the problem with that is that if you think about an anchor dropping down in the ocean and they're taking it all the way down to the lowest number to start out with, it's a negotiation. That's what they would love to get it for. They'd love to get it for $700,000. The house is in great shape already. They don't have to do anything. They turn around, sell it, and make $200,000 in a couple weeks. So they drop the price all the way down and see if you go along with it, right? So I'm telling you, whenever somebody gives you a price, that's almost always going to be their anchor price. It doesn't mean that they can't go higher. They're just starting at the lowest point that they can go to see if you'll take it. The other scenario is when you give an anchor price. This is one of the tactics that they use when they're trying to give you a cash offer. They'll say, well, how much do you want for the house? And then you'll say, man, I really want $800,000. So now they know that is the sale price. So now in this particular case, if it's $1 million house after it's fixed up, but you're willing to take $800,000, they got a $200,000 spread. And now they're going to say, well, gosh, after all these repairs and fix up and permits and, need a new roof, and boy, the termites are bad and this and that, they're still going to try to drive you lower, right? But the worst case is when I actually coached a lady, if you will. I said, look, whatever you do, you figure out what your price is, right? You know what the repairs are. Figure out what the repairs are based on that. Okay, that's kind of what the price is, and I'm willing to give a little extra for the convenience of not having to put it out on the market. So in her case, I want to say, because it was out in Inland Empire, fixed up, the house was $750 or something like that. But it was lived in by grandpa for, the last 25 years. In the last 15 years, he couldn't do anything. And the house was a mess, and it was dirty, and had things growing in places that things weren't supposed to be growing and stuff like that. So she was embarrassed to even show the house. So in her perspective, she thought $750 if it was fixed up. I'd like to get $600,000. And she said these words, and I almost died when she said it. She said, you know what? I really would like $600,000, but I don't know. I don't think it's going to sell for more than $5.25. Okay, automatically she gave away $75,000 more than she was already giving away by saying $600,000. Okay, she was setting her own anchor price. Her anchor price is $525. Well, guess what they're going to do from now? They're going to say, hey, you know what? Look, you already acknowledged that it's $525. You know it's worth only $525. But man, all the work, and then we still have to clean out everything into the dump, and we don't know what we're going to find in the corner back behind that couch, and is all the electrical up to date and this and that. And they're going to convince you that you need to drop it even farther to make it worth it. And because they already knew she was so embarrassed, they knew she was embarrassed, because why would she say something like that? She was embarrassed. And this is one of the things that they prey on a lot. Embarrassment. You're ashamed. I can't believe that we live this way, right? Get over it. Don't worry about it. As long as I've been doing this for almost 30 years and all the houses that I've been in, you're not alone. Trust me. There's not a lot of people who are what we would call, super neatniks, okay? And especially if you get older, I understand. You know what? Hey, I don't jump around and move like I used to 20 years ago. And I can imagine in 20 years from now what I'm going to not be doing. You know, it happens. It's part of life. But don't let them use that against you. Let you use your embarrassment or you're being ashamed or whatever it is so that you give away all of your equity, right? So don't give an anchor price. When somebody says, hey, how much do you want for your house? And in her case, it was $600,000. She should have just said $600,000 and stopped, and don't say another word. This is another sales tactic or technique that you could use. And there's a reason that they say silence is golden. And I like to say silence turns into gold. If you go to high-level sales training, one of the things they'll tell you, say, whatever it is you have to say your price, say your fee, say whatever it is, and then shut up. Be quiet. Don't say anything else. And the reason is because, and you probably, if you think about this, when somebody does that to you, it creates an awkward situation. Silence is weird. And you go, something must be wrong. Something has to be said. I have to fill the air with sound. And so I'm going to speak before anybody else, because nobody's saying anything. Don't do it. If you're up for playing a little game, when somebody gives you a fee or a price or something like that, you be quiet, because I've done this with real estate agents so many times, and they come in and they say, our commission is this, 10, 20, maybe 30 seconds, if they can hold out that long. They're going, we can reduce it by this much and that much and whatnot, right? And it's the same thing for you. If you say $600,000 and they come back at 500, just be quiet. Just don't say anything. Just don't say anything. You don't need to cave in. Trust me, there are other people who will buy your house if they're not willing to buy it. And call us. We'll help you figure out who those people are. It's that simple. I mean, that's what it is. So, something else here. Non-refundable deposits. If you're dealing with a cash buyer, you need to get a non-refundable deposit. And what that means is, in most places, whatever agreements will say that a deposit will be delivered to escrow by, usually within 3 days, 3 business days, whatever. You need to make sure that it says that deposit is non-refundable and will be remitted to the seller in the event that the buyer backs out of the transaction. Why? Why would you do that with a cash buyer? You're not going to necessarily do that with a retail offer unless you've got massive people fighting over the property. You could do that. But on the cash offer side, you're going to want to do that because they're already saying to you, we're going to give you this price. Okay, we agreed on a price. And we're going to put this deposit into escrow and we're taking it as is. The reason deposits are usually not non-refundable on the retail side is because the retail sale is, it's still subject to inspections and other disclosures and things like that. Well, this cash buyer, they know what they're getting into. As a matter of fact, if they say, well, we can't make it non-refundable until after we do an inspection, say, okay, great. Come and do an inspection and then give me your offer with a non-refundable deposit. There's another reason why you want to make it a non-refundable deposit is because a wholesaler will never, ever, ever give a non-refundable deposit. Remember, they're not the one buying the house. All they're doing is selling the contract for a massive profit. So this is one way to weed out wholesalers. Give us a non-refundable deposit, and then also make sure you're using an escrow company that you choose. I know at least here in California, one of the things that's on all the California real estate documents, it says, you, the seller, you have the right to choose your own service providers. Now, why most real estate agents always say, well, use my escrow company or my title company and other services is because, well, if they've been around like I have, we're usually working with the people we know that are going to get the job done, and they're going to be unbiased. They're going to follow the contract to a T. They're not doing anybody any special favors on the side, right? We know who's going to get the job done. But on the cash buyer side, what they're going to tell you is they're going to say, no, use our escrow company, the company that we want to use. Why? Couple reasons. Number one is because sometimes maybe they have a deal worked out with that escrow company, and that escrow company says, well, we're going to charge you a lower fee than another escrow company would charge you. Well, okay, who cares? I don't care. As a seller, I'm going, that's not my problem. My problem is making sure that my best interest is being looked out for, not whether or not you're saving $1,000. And sometimes there may be another relationship involved. So for example, one of a wholesaler that I had run into many years ago was like dating or was engaged to the escrow officer. Do you think that that's a little bit shady? Yeah, absolutely. So when something goes wrong and you're going, oh, you're in breach of the contract, Mr. Wholesaler cash buyer that pretended that you were a cash buyer. So I'm keeping your deposit. Who do you think that the escrow company is going to side with? They're going to side with the wholesaler because they know you're not going to do anything about it anyways. You're already in a desperate situation. You're darn sure not hiring a lawyer, right? They know these things, and they count on you not knowing them. So these are the kind of things that I'm trying to share with you to make sure that you get. So choose your own escrow company, choose your own title insurance company. And I say escrow company, in some states it's an attorney, right? They use an attorney. So again, don't use language about changing vesting or assignments in the contracts. Just don't allow it. Just say, hey, look, if you're buying it under your company, buy it under your company. Figure out what your vesting is before you give me a completed offer. Don't tell me you're going to figure out it after the fact, because in most cases, a lot of these cash buyers will buy your property and they're going to close fast. They're going to close in 7 to 10 days. If the property's vacant, right? If you're not living there. Now, if you're living there, you can negotiate with them and say, hey, look, we need 30 days. We need 45 days, whatever. I've seen, in our process, we can go up to 60 days that you can have to move. Also, something else that you can factor in, and something that we do, is we can give you up to $10,000 or $20,000 of the proceeds of your property in advance before escrow closes. It's part of that non-refundable deposit. And the reason that we do that is because, look, we know a lot of times if you're living in the property, you say, hey, I've got to go, but man, I don't have the money to hire movers or get a truck or put a down payment or a deposit on another property somewhere or a rental property somewhere. I don't have that money. Where am I going to go? I need money to get out. You can work that into your contract. And again, wholesalers will never do that. They will never, ever do that. Real vetted cash buyers? Yeah, sure. They will definitely negotiate that in if you ask for it, and just tell them, I can't sell it to you unless we do this because I don't have any money to move. But try and get as much as you can. But remember, it's coming from your proceeds. They're not giving you that as a bonus on top of, you've established the price. Okay, we're just giving you some of your money up front. That's all that is. So, make sure that you are putting all the terms and whatnot in your favor. Again, feel free to reach out to me. Happy to talk to you, share with you, look at your situation and get you pointed in the right direction when it comes time to selling your house, cash or the retail side. Let's talk about if we have to hire a real estate agent. Let's move on to that one.